Okay, we've adjourned out of closed session, and now we'll rise out of that, and there's nothing to report from that other than
Do you want to
to do.
just general director this one?
Uh,
We don't actually. I know what I'm doing. Okay.
Yeah. So given that we have nothing to report, we're now going to go into item 11 on the agenda, the staff reports, and we're going to give our building inspector or our chief building official a minute to get in. So in the meantime, we'll jump to 11B, and I'll turn the meeting over to our CAO, Morgan Calvert, for a staff report on an industrial lands feasibility study.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Clark. And through you to council. Fairly lengthy report. I drew up some notes for me, so I'm basically just going to read from my screen because there's lots I have to say. As council knows, we've been working through our official plan process. One of the strategies that council has been considering is the consolidation of industrial lands in the township to a more focused or targeted area. The strategy allows the township to better protect prime agricultural lands, mitigate against scattered industrial growth, leverage the proximity to the 402, and to diversify the tax base in an effort to shift the tax burden away from residential and agricultural land uses. In support of council's strategy, we must undertake a feasibility study of an identified area of lands for the purposes of industrial designation. The proposed feasibility study is separated into two phases. By separating the study into two phases, it allows council to break the project up into two manageable parts and to include a decision point between them. This decision point allows council better decision-making ability over the money is required to complete the full study. Essentially, if council doesn't like what is returned in phase one, it can choose not to proceed to phase two, saving time and money. Phase one is outlined to be a preliminary feasibility assessment, looking at market conditions, demand factors, trends, and risks, while also looking at how land should be ultimately designated, how much land should ultimately be designated, and what economic assets already exist in support of the industrial lands designation. Phase one will also engage with internal external stakeholders to assess challenges and opportunities while building a budget and understanding the financial feasibility of a project such as this. Council will receive a phase one report that will also include a roadmap of key steps, tasks, and considerations. Phase one will be a deeper dive. Phase two will be a deeper dive into market validation and financial modeling, looking at things like private sector engagement and interest, a risk analysis factoring regulatory frameworks, infrastructure costs, and development expenses. The phase two report will compile revenue and financial projections, including the expected operating income and contingency planning for this type of a project. Through the feasibility study, council will have a comprehensive understanding of the risks, financial outlook, and implementation roadmap of an industrial land strategy focused in a particular area of the township. Much of the information compiled through the feasibility study will not only help council make decisions, but will be used for future next steps as we move forward. To undertake the feasibility study, staff are proposing that we leverage a group purchasing organization to procure the services of Colliers project leaders. Colliers is a well-established industry-leading Canadian professional services company that is highly capable of delivering on the goals of this project. By using a group purchasing organization, we are reducing our costs and time by leveraging a procurement process that has already been established and awarded. This will save us probably 2.5 months in time of actually procuring a firm such as this, including the development and evaluation of the RFP. I do have to note that our current procurement policy does not speak directly to group purchasing organizations, but it does recognize the importance of cooperative or group procurement. Council will see our updated draft procurement policy at the next council meeting. I've owed this to you folks for a little bit of time now. In terms of financial impact of this particular project, phase one budget is $44,900 and phase two budget is $84,500 for a project total of $129,400, which is already included in the 2025 budget. So all this to kindly ask council to direct staff to undertake the feasibility study, leveraging Colliers project leaders, deliver a phase one report to council before moving into phase two, and to execute all the necessary documents required to participate in the group purchasing organization. Happy to stop there and take any questions or comments that council might have.
Okay, thank you, Morgan. Any questions on that? I think we covered a lot of that stuff off, so before. Okay, seeing none then, we have a recommendation that council direct staff to undertake the feasibility study of the lands identified during the closed session dated February 18th, 2025, and that council direct staff to execute all necessary documents required to secure Collier's project leaders, leveraging the group purchasing organization Kinetic to undertake the feasibility study, and further that council direct staff to deliver a phase 1 report at the appropriate time prior to proceeding with phase 2. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Brody, seconded by Councillor Kingma. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna back up to 11A, and Arnie, I see you've joined us now if you want to jump in. Um, The next item up is the staff report, the fourth quarter and year end 2024 building activity summary. And I'll turn this over to you now, Arnie. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. Assuming you can hear me all right. Yeah. I'm pleased to be here today to present to you the fourth quarter of 2024 building report and also the year-end numbers to Council tonight. In summary, 2024 was at a slower pace than what we saw in 2023. I'd like to point out, actually, so the 2024 numbers we saw and some of the big measurables we use are the number of dwellings and the cost of construction. So we saw the number of new dwellings drop from 15 in 2023 down to 8 in 2024. And the cost of construction we saw drop from 20 million in 2023 down to 14 million in 2024. So both significant decreases, but to put that in perspective, I've looked back into 2022 and 2021. And it looks like 2023 is more of an apparition than a new standard, in that in 2022 we saw 8 new dwellings, and in 2021 we saw 5 new dwellings. So we are at or above the paces of 2022 and 2021. Yes, unfortunately, we did drop from 2022 to 2023, but all in all, it was a decent year for Adelaide Metcalfe, with fees collected, and getting through one of the tougher times that we've seen in a decade, I'd say, for building and construction. So all that said, I think the municipality did fare very well for 2024. In my report, I provide 3 tables to council. The first table report is a comparator to see how Adelaide Metcalfe has done in comparison to the other 4 municipalities in our service agreement. North Middlesex seems to be the big winner. They more than doubled the number of new homes specifically because of a nice subdivision in Ailsa Craig that's been very successful with an aggressive builder group there. Middlesex Center, it seems, had the biggest drop off, 61 new dwellings in Middlesex Center in comparison to over 160 new dwellings in 2023. So it was a tough year for Middlesex Center last year. But this table does provide a good description comparative to see how Adelaide Metcalfe has done in relation to the other municipalities, and some year-end totals of our 5 municipalities, where we still had over 800 building permits and 193 new dwellings in those 5 municipalities. The table 2 in the report is sort of a detailed breakdown of what we saw both in the fourth quarter of 2024 and year-end numbers. And again, comparing them to 2023. I won't spend time going through those numbers, but if council has questions regarding the different categories, I am available to speak to those. The third table is another comparator of number of permits, fees collected, development charges, and cost of construction we've seen over the past 6 or 7 years for council's information. A couple of significant items I wanted to point out to council in this report is that at the end of last year, Middlesex Center and Adelaide Metcalfe entered into a bylaw enforcement service agreement. So we're looking forward to seeing that into our first full year this year. And also just to let council know that Middlesex County has brought out development charges that are now in place. So with every new dwelling and commercial use, there are now Middlesex County development charges that will be charging as well. That's just more for council's information. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them today.
Okay, thank you, Arnie. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I do have a comment. I just want to say this is a perfect example how a servicing agreement can work positively. There's more than one municipality participating here, and it gives us confidence and the comfort of having um, a skilled staff that's able to meet the demand, even whether it rises or falls or whatever. You guys seem to be able to step up and meet the demand. So we appreciate that, and I think the relationship is proving to be extremely cost effective for us with this shift in how we're doing it. And we look forward to bylaw enforcement kicking in Adelaide Metcalfe. So that's all I'm going to say about that for now. So seeing that we have no questions, um, we have a recommendation that the fourth quarter and year-end 2024 building activity summary be received for information. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Nordoff. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Arnie, thanks for your time tonight, and please pass along our thanks to your team for their support. We really appreciate it.
Will do. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Okay, the next item up is 11C. It's just another staff report regarding the drainage superintendent services. And I'll turn this part of the meeting over to our public works manager and our CAO, Coulter Cahill and Morgan Calvert. And you guys can flip a coin as to who's going to talk first.
Yes, I did, Liz. Thank you, Mayor Clark. As everyone is aware, in August 2024, Southwest Middlesex provided notice that it is no longer capable of providing drainage superintendent services to Adelaide Metcalfe, effective December 31st, 2024. This deadline was extended to the end of February 2025, given the circumstances. At the December 16th council meeting, council received a report discussing various service provision models and ultimately directed staff to onboard a qualified firm for the purpose of providing drainage superintendent services. Adelaide Metcalfe has recently onboarded Spreed Associates through Municipal Engineering Services RFP, which includes specialized drainage engineering services. Spreed Associates is also capable of providing drainage superintendent services to assist us in our transition from our previous shared service arrangement with Southwest Middlesex. By leveraging Spreed Associates' expertise for drainage superintendent services, Adelaide Metcalfe stands to gain efficiencies in both service, delivery, and cost. The consolidation allows for increased expertise as Spreed Associates brings specialized knowledge in municipal engineering. By consolidating these services, the township can streamline workflows, reduce redundancies, and optimize resource allocation, ultimately leading to improved cost effectiveness. Based on council's feedback in December, the proposed contract structure includes an initial 1-year term with a 1-year renewal option. This structure provides flexibility to evaluate the effectiveness of the services while allowing the municipality to pivot as required. Specifically, if the municipality secures a part-time individual for the drainage superintendent role during this period. A straightforward contract has been developed by the county's legal team, which is attached to this staff report. As part of the attached contract, Spreed Associates shall provide municipal drainage superintendent services for 1 scheduled day per week for the office work and field work. This may be reduced to bi-weekly during periods of low volume or increased to meet service demands. It is important to note that a designated qualified employee from Spreed Associates shall be available full-time by telephone during business hours to receive inquiries and correspond with residents, agents, and government bodies as set out in Schedule A of the attached contract. Staff will monitor this contract and services closely to ensure cost containment where possible, but also to improve our own municipal knowledge and expertise to reduce costs and build capacity from within the organization. Estimated costing to contract Spree Associates is between 40,000 and 60,000. Of course, this depends on level of service such as response times or how many on-site days per week additional meetings are required. Recommendation would be that council approve the attached contract for drainage superintendent services with Spree Associates. I'll open up for any questions if there is any. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Coulter. Do you have anything you want to add, Morgan? You're good? Okay. Any questions? Counselor Kingma?
Thank you. Through the mayor to Morgan. I could be wrong, but I think paragraph 3.2. It says in the second line, and other costs unrelated to the direct performance of the services. I wonder if it should say related.
Absolutely related to the services be provided. So we'll make that minor amendment if council's okay with that and then proceed if approved.
Everybody in agreement with that change? Okay. All right, any further questions? Comments? Seeing none then, with that amendment, we have a recommendation that council approve the attached contract for drainage superintendent services with Spree Associates. Moved by Councillor Brody, seconded by Councillor Kingma. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, next one up is the staff report regarding the 2025 dust suppressant and regarding the tender results, and I'll turn this over once again to our Public Works Manager, Coulter Cahill.
Oh, thanks again, Mayor Clark. This one's pretty straightforward. As everyone's aware, we spread dust suppressant on all our gravel roads every year. This year, we went up to tender and Pollard distribution did come in as the lowest bidder at $372.10 per flake ton. We'll note that this is almost $17 per ton cheaper than 2024, so that's a good sign. And I also will note that we are under the budgeted amount of $121,000 by $9,370 plus HST. My recommendation is in the report, but I'll open up for any questions if there is any.
Okay, are there any questions regarding that? No? Okay. Then you see, I won't repeat the recommendation, but Coulter's just read that out, and that the Township Public Works Manager and the clerk be authorized to execute on behalf of the Township of Adelaide Metcalfe all agreements and other documents necessary to implement this award. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Nordoff. All those in favor? And that's carried. Okay, 11E, the next staff report is 2025 maintenance gravel, and these also are tender results, and I'll turn it over once again to Coulter.
Thanks again, Mayor Clark. Again, this one is very straightforward. This is something that we undertake every year. This year's successful bidder through the tendering process was EW Blaine Trucking at $18.69 per ton. That is supplied and applied to our gravel road network. We are under the budgeted amount of $230,000 by $5,720 plus HST. The recommendation is in the report. I'll open up for any questions if there is any. Thank you.
Thank you, Coulter. Are there any questions? It's interesting, to see the tenders in the swing. Like there was is that the one that I think had the Toronto company that was quite a bit more? Like there's a big variance, that's for sure. Yeah. Okay, so any questions for Coulter? Seeing none then, I won't reread that section, but we'll add on, and that the Township Public Work Manager and Clerk be authorized to execute on behalf of the Township of Adelaide Metcalfe all agreements and other documents necessary to implement this award. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Brody, seconded by Councillor Nordoff. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, is there any other business? Councillor Kingma.
Through the mayor to Morgan, have we had any KIP applications yet?
We have not. Still open for another month or so, I think, month and a half. April 30th, yep. Mike's got a communication strategy where we'll blast out a couple more things on Facebook, that kind of stuff.
Okay, and I think I speak for all of us when I say, oh my gosh, the Kerwood Park ice surface is it's having a long season, which is wonderful. So once again, because we really appreciate what Basil Martin's doing over there, and that provides some free entertainment, that's for sure, for the community. So once again, thank you to he and Jeanette. Mike Brody, go ahead.
Just wanting, through Morgan to maybe Colder between the two of you, just re-wondering about that closed winter road between, Gatesville and Napperton on Sexton. The other night, the other night there was a accident, took the hydro line down. Well, I bet you there was 6 cars trying to get down that road. They're all stuck. Every year there's multiple vehicles try to get down that road and it's stuck. It's only a short portion of road. I'm under the understanding that it was always just a winter maintenance road because that's when Adelaide and Metcalfe were separate. And they shut that, Adelaide side did. I'm just wondering.
Sorry for clarity, which was restate what road that
Sexton.
is? Okay, Sexton.
It's a town line.
Yeah,
I
and
think that is
going
our
to
end
where?
of responsibility, I think.
Yeah, so that road is posted at both ends. Now, the
Yeah.
only issue, and we can look into this if it's council's wish, but that road, we do stop at the tracks and Warwick maintains to the tracks from Napperton, so they'd have to be on board as well. Otherwise.
I'm just wondering if it's kind of a busy area actually, and for it to always still be closed, there is trouble, like there is people getting stuck. They're trying to go down it there.
That section, south of Murphy, that washed out too, though, in the summer, didn't it not? Is that the same stretch we're talking about, or
It's the
no?
same stretch, but it's to the
Farther north.
farther.
North, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So I'm just wondering if it's something that we should maybe be back looking at, because I don't think it's gonna cost very much just to have it open. I mean, you know,
Yeah, I can.
if there was cars, well, I was one, I had to go all the way around. I seen it.
Okay, so it's made this personal now.
No.
Okay.
I knew it was, I know what's closed, but I went by there and there had to have been 5-6 cars down there, all stuck, like.
Okay, well, maybe we could, if
I
I
know,
could
it's
suggest
just-
something, Mike, don't go down that road, Randy, again.
Yeah.
But maybe we could leave that with you, Coulter, for the next 60 days or so.
It's
and
just
you can
maybe
have a
something
look
we
at
could look
that
at
and
for
maybe
next
bring
year.
back a report.
Yep,
If
I
you're
can
okay with
absolutely report
that.
back to council, if we can
Okay.
investigate that issue.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else got anything they want to personally look after here? Okay, all kidding aside, if there's nothing else, then we have a recommendation that bylaw 8 of 2025, the zoning bylaw amendment Z01-2025 regarding 1040 Melwood Drive, and bylaw 9 of 2025, an agreement for engineering services, and bylaw 10 of 2025 confirming tonight, February the 18th, 2025, receive first, second, third, and final readings. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Council Brody, seconded by Councilor McKinnon. All in favor, and that's carried. Okay, we have a recommendation that we adjourn this meeting at 8:53 PM. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councilor Nordoff, seconded by Councilor Brody. All in favor, and that's carried. Thank you.